Hey guys, it's Irene's Braids and I am back with another video. So let's just jump right into it. Now this video you're going to love. We'll be doing a video on how to start your knotless, but then also how to cut your daughter's braids into a short bob. I loved doing this tutorial and so did my client. Her mom is one of my loyal clients and she really wanted me to start braiding her daughter's hair. So I agreed to this about 6 months ago and I asked her would it be okay to make some kitty tutorials for my moms who are looking for ways to style your daughter's hair. I thought that my client would be a great candidate for that. And so here we are. So I took one bundle of the color for braiding hair and I decided to cut this into two pieces. The next time I do this tutorial, I will take 1/2 out of the two and I will cut it again to make another two sets. So like how I did here, I would actually cut that again and directly in the middle, just so that way the pieces are a little bit shorter for the back of the nape. So we already completed the first row. With her first row, we only did a total of 4 braids at the bottom. I'm going for more of a small, medium knotless. I like the look of small, medium knotless better. And my goal here is to keep the hair very light. So I want to keep it between 3 to 4 pieces of extension braiding hair that I would like to apply to her hair. The more natural the hair lays, the better that it looks. So that is the goal for me today. Now, as I start off my braid, I am not going to finish them completely to the end because we're going to use perm rods to rod the ends to create that bob look. But also by cutting it will definitely help us achieve the look that we're looking for. So to begin our third braid, what I like to do is I like to start off by splitting the natural hair into 3 sections. I applied some braid gel to her roots first, and then I went with a comb and kind of combed the gel through. So now that it's split into 3 sections, I'm going to slide my index finger through the middle and then I'm going to grab onto a small piece of extension braiding hair while switching my index fingers from each opposite through the middle. And I'm going to braid that in about 4 times. And then I'll add in a second piece of extension braiding hair and braid that in between 2 to 3 times. I'll add in a third and braid that in between 2 to 3 times as well. And remember that we are not going to be braiding these all the way down to the ends because we want to add the perm rods. That way we can shorten up the hair and achieve a bob look. Now, as you can see here, remember in the first beginning of this clip, I was saying that I would cut the hair again into twos. The reason being is because I still feel like the pieces that I did at the bottom are still too long compared to her natural hair. So that is my reasoning why I would cut it more. So just for the bottom row, because that's how short of a bob we're going for, I would cut it again. So instead of cutting the bundle into twos, I would take 1/2 out of the 2 that I've cut and cut that into twos as well. So that'd be a total of 3 bundles of hair. So now we have a total of 5 braids that are completed and braided in nicely. And we are going to start working on our third row. So with the perm rod, you guys, I like to use the smallest rod possible. So I went in with my smallest rod possible, and it is pretty long, but not too long. You can go in with any rod you choose. The reason why I chose this particular rod is so that way the curls are tighter. The tighter the curls are, the more they'll last. However, depending on the temp of your water would also control how long the curls will last or if they'll fall too easily. So you definitely want to make sure that when you're putting these rods in, that you're rodding tightly as you're spinning that hair around the rod. And you want to make sure you're securing it tightly. There were a few times where I kind of went in a little too loosely with the curl. And before I got to the hot water part, I had to redo the rod just to make sure my braiding hair was on there really good and it was secure. Let me tell y'all, my girl was ready. She loved her hair already. She could not get out of the mirror. She loved her hair. So baby C is back, y'all. And when I tell you, when you see the finished results, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, she loved her hair. Loved it. From the time she left my salon, she was getting compliments out the door. Her mom texted me like, hey, she's getting so many compliments. And I'm just like, my girl. So yeah. So as you can see here, I am making sure that when I part out her hair, the braids underneath it will allow my braid that I will start to begin to fall nicely in between the braids under it. So I'm trying to achieve, a brick layered parting, but not necessarily, just enough to where I don't have to add too many braids and it's falling naturally. So once again, I split her hair up into 3 sections and then I push my index finger through the middle. As that top piece is resting on my index finger, I went ahead and placed a small piece of braiding hair. And I'm going to braid that in between 2 to 3 times. And then I'm going to take my index finger and thumb and put in another piece of extension braided hair, braid that in 2 to 3 times, and then I'll add a third piece. So we now have a total of 4 pieces added in per braid. Underneath the last 2 rows, we did a total of 3 pieces per braid. So definitely add in the pieces according to the texture of your client's hair and the density of their hair. This is just what we needed for this particular client. All right, you guys, so we have a total of 7 braids completed and we have a total of 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, 3 rows. So normally on every client, I don't care who it is, I like to part out the front of their hair. And when I part it out like this will happen to be, of course, just 1 braid per row. As you reach to the top, we will have a total of 1 braid for each row connecting to the back. And then when I reach to the top, it'll be 2 braids connected to the back. And that's just how I like to do my pattern. So I've already started 1 row of my U-shaped parting. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I am a fan of the U-shaped parting. It's not necessarily a sharp U, but it's like a roundabout, and I just call it a U-shaped parting, but just more rounded it off. That's what I like to do. And I like to do this because I feel like it creates a fullness without adding so many pieces of braids and so many parts and so much hair. You can really achieve it without having to do all of that. So I did half of that second row of U-shaped parting, and I'm going to show you guys how I like to dip it. So definitely get you a kettle, an electric kettle, and add you some water. And when you heat that water, I don't like to heat mine completely throughout. I do stop my kettle in the middle of it heating because I don't need it too hot. And then once I take it off of the heater, I add in cool water and I mix that through my kettle. And then I pour it into a coffee mug like so. And this is my handy dandy coffee mug. I use this mug for everybody. Boho styles, boho bob. We're using the coffee mug, okay? And this is just easy to do. Normally, I tell my clients to make sure the towel is resting above their ear. So that way, if the cup accidentally, taps their ear, they won't feel it. I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of know how much or how close to stay. However, don't follow me if you are a beginner. You want to make sure that you're using that towel to cover the size of your baby's ear. All right, you guys, so we have all of our rods dipped and we're going to let them rest as I complete the remaining of the braids. And then we're going to come back and I'll show you how to unravel them. So we're wrapping this up, you guys. We're getting to our second to last row before we will be completing our middle part. So this is what that will look like. All right, you guys, so now that we have this section off, what I'm going to do is show you what I mean when I say let's do the brick layer parting. If you have a hard time, you struggle with that, you can start up underneath that row of hair. And what you're doing is you're creating a box. So that way that box would fall directly in between the row and the braids underneath it. And that is what they consider to be somewhat of a brick layer parting, but not as precise. But it's close enough. It'll work. It'll do. And that's kind of what we're looking for today. So we're finally done with installing all of the braids, and now I have taken out the perm rods in the back, but I will have to go back in and add some perm rods to a few braids that were not able to be rodded because I ran out of them. But what I'm doing here is trying to get an idea of the cut. And what I also had to do off camera was go back and re-rod some of my braids a little higher because they were hanging a little too low from the desired cut that we were looking for. So here is where you'll see me start achieving that look. I like to go for more of a straighter cut across the back. And then I like to take the scissors and then go at a downward angle. I like to cut it at a downward angle so that way I'm just sipping off exactly what I need without doing such of a blunt cut. So you will see me doing that as well. So I went ahead and re-rotted the other braids that weren't able to be dipped. And once I did that, this is what it turned out to look like. All right, so this is our final results. And let me tell you, my girl is too cute. And she just could not stay out of the mirror. It turned out so beautiful. So how many blue hearts can my baby C get? Because she looks fabulous. If you love this hairstyle, drop some blue hearts in the comment section or some pink hearts and let baby C know how cute she looks. Y'all look at my girl styling, profiling her braids, honey. Y'all can't tell her nothing. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and we'll see y'all in our next video. Bye, guys.